Odyssey, Book 3, lines 95 to 268. Telemachus tells Nestor that he has come in search of information about his father. Nestor tells him how he and Odysseus often were the best advisors to the Greeks, and tells of the warrior's returns and Athena's wrath. When appetite to wine and food allayed, horse-taming Nestor then began, and said, Now life's desire is served as far as fair. Time fits me to inquire what guests there are. Fair guests, what are ye? And for what coast tries your ship the moist deeps? For fit merchandise, or rudely coast ye like our men of prize, the rough seas tempting, desperately erring the ill of others in their good conferring. The wise prince now his boldness did begin, for Pallas' self had hardened him within by this device of travel to explore his absent father, which to Gerlands wore, his good by manage of his spirits, and then to gain him high grace in the accounts of men. O Nestor, still in whom Neleus lives, and all the glory of the Greeks survives, you ask from whence we are, and I relate. From Ithaca, whose seat is situate where Neleus, the renowned mountain, rears his haughty forehead, and the honor bears to be our sea mark. We essay the waves. The business I must tell, for our own good craves, and not the public. I am come to inquire if, in the fame that best men doth inspire of my most suffering father, I may hear some truth of his estate now, who did bear the name, being joined in fight with you alone, to even with earth, the height of Ilion. Of all men else that any name did bear and fought for Troy, the several ends we hear, but his death Jove keeps from the world unknown, the certain fame thereof being told by none. If on the continent by enemies slain, or with the waves eat of the ravenous main, for his love, 'tis that to your knees I sue, that you would please, out of your own clear view, to sure his sad end, or say if your ear hath heard of the unhappy wanderer, to too much sorrow whom his mother bore. You then, by all your bounties I implore, if ever to you deed or word hath stood, by my good father promised, rendered good among the Trojans, where ye both have tried the Grecian sufferance, that in naught applied to my respect or pity you will gloze, but unclothed truth to my desires disclose. O much loved, said he, since you renew remembrance of the miseries that grew upon our still in strength opposing Greece amongst Troy's people, I must touch a piece of all our woes there, either in the men Achilles brought by sea and led to gain about the country, or in us that fought about the city, where to death were brought all our chief men, as many as were there. There Mars-like Ajax lies, Achilles there. There the in council like the gods his friend. There my dear son Antilochus took end, past measure swift of foot, and stayed in fight a number more that ills felt infinite, of which to reckon all what mortal men, if 5 or 6 years you should stay here, can serve such enquiry. You would back again, affected with unsufferable pain, before you heard it. 9 years sieged we them, with all the depth and sleight of stratagem that could be thought, ill knit to ill past end. Yet still they toiled us, nor would yet Jove send rest to our labors, nor will scarcely yet, but no man lived that would in public set his wisdom by Ulysses' policy. As thought his equal, so excessively he stood superior all ways. If you be his son indeed, mine eyes even ravish me to admiration, and in all consent your speech puts on his speech's ornament. No one would say that one so young could use, unless his son, a rhetoric so profuse. And while we lived together, he and I, never in speech maintained diversity, nor sat in council, but, by one soul led, with spirit and prudent counsel furnished the Greeks at all hours, that with fairest course, what best became them, they might put in force. But when Troy's high towers we had levelled thus, we put to sea, and God divided us. And then did Jove our sad retreat devise, for all the Greeks were neither just nor wise, and therefore many felt so sharp a fate, sent from Minerva's most pernicious hate, whose mighty father can do fearful things, by whose help she betwixt the brother kings let fall contention, who in council met in vain, and timeless when the sun was set, and all the Greeks called, that came charged with wine. And yet then the kings would utter their design, and why they summoned. Menelaus, he put all in mind of home, and cried, to sea, but Agamemnon stood on contraries, whose will was they should stay and sacrifice whole hecatombs to Pallas, to forego her high wrath to them. Fool, that did not know she would not be so won, for not with ease the eternal gods are turned from what they please. So they, divided on foul language, stood. The Greeks in huge rout rose, their wine-heat blood 2 ways affecting. And that night's sleep too, returned to studying either other's woe, when Jove besides made ready woes enow. Morn came, we launched, and in our ships did stow our goods and fair-girt women. Half our men the people's guide Atrides did contain, and half being now aboard put forth to sea. A most free gale gave all the ships prosperous way. God settled then the huge whale-bearing lake, and Tenedos we reached, where for time's sake we did with divine rites to the gods. But Jove, inexorable still, bore yet no love to our return, but did again excite a second sad contention, that turned quite a great part of us back to sea again, which were the abundant in all counsels man, your matchless father, who to gratify the great Atrides back to him did fly. But I fled all, with all that followed me, because I knew God studied misery to hurl among us. With me likewise fled martial Tydides. I the men he led gat to go with him. Winds our fleet did bring to Lesbos, where the yellow-headed king, though late, yet found us. And we put to choice a tedious voyage, if we sail should hoist above rough Chios, left on our left hand, to the isle of Syria, or that rugged land sail under, and for windy Mimas steer. We asked of God that some ostent might clear our cloudy business, who gave us a sign, and charge that all should in a middle line the sea cut for Euboea, that with speed our loft sustained in fortune might be freed. Then did a whistling wind begin to rise, and swiftly flew we through the fishy skies, till to Gerestus we in night were brought, where, though the broad sea since we safe had wrought, at Neptune's altars many solid thighs of slaughtered bulls we burned for sacrifice. The 4th day came, when Tydeus' son did greet the haven of Argos with his complete fleet. But I for Pylos straight steered on my course, nor ever left the wind his fortnight force, since God foresent it first. And thus I came, dear son, to Pylos, uninformed by fame, nor no one saved by fate or overcome, whom I have heard of since, set here at home, as fits thou shalt be taught, not left unshown. The expert spearman every Myrmidon, led by the brave heir of the mighty-souled unpeered Achilles, safe of home got hold, safe Philoctetes, Paeon's famous seed, and safe Idomeneus, his men led to his home Crete, who fled the armed field, of whom yet none the sea from him withheld. Atrides, you have both heard, though ye be his far-off dwellers, what an end had he, done by Aegisthus to a bitter death, who miserably paid for forced breath, Atrides leaving a good son that died in blood of that deceitful parricide, his wreakful sword. And thou, my friend, as he for this hath his fame, the like spirit in thee assume at all parts. Fair and great I see. Thou art in all hope. Make it good to the end, that after times as much may thee commend.